When you look at an electrical panel, it's easy to just see a gray box of wires, right? But what if I told you that inside that box, there are two totally different worlds? We're talking industrial control versus building safety. And mixing those two up, yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, on the outside, they can look pretty similar, but their jobs couldn't be more different. So why does this matter so much? Why is getting this right absolutely critical for safety, for efficiency, and just for making sure things actually work? And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. We're not just talking about some minor technical detail here. Getting this wrong leads to real problems: tripped circuits, smoking equipment, maybe even a failed inspection. So let's break it down and demystify these two worlds, and we'll start with the more complex of the two. Okay, first up, we're diving into the factory. This is where we meet the industrial control panel. The best way to think about this thing is as the high-tech command center, the brain, for all the heavy machinery on the production floor. And right away, here's the absolute key difference. An industrial panel isn't just a simple power distributor. No, it's actively controlling an entire process. It's taking in all this information, processing it, and making decisions to run, well, everything, from a single conveyor belt all the way up to a massive, complex assembly line. So yeah, that's why the brain analogy works so well. It really is the central intelligence of the factory. It's coordinating all the different moving parts, telling them exactly when to start, when to stop, and what to do every second of the day. Now, if you were to open one of these up, you'd see a ton of different components, and it can be kind of overwhelming. So instead of getting lost in all the details, let's simplify it. We can group everything into four key functions. It's just like the human body, right? You've got the brain, which does the thinking, the muscle, which does the heavy lifting, the power system, which provides the energy, and the nervous system, which connects it all together. So let's start with the brain itself. At the very core of this whole operation is the PLC, which stands for Programmable Logic Controller. This isn't your average desktop PC, it's a super rugged industrial computer. It's the true decision maker here, running the complex code that automates the whole show. And that brain, the PLC, is constantly sending out commands to the muscle. And by muscle, we mean components like motor drives and contactors. These are the real workhorses, the heavy lifters. They're built to handle massive electrical currents, to actually start up the motors and move all that heavy machinery, all based on what the brain tells them to do. Of course, a brain can't do any thinking without the right kind of power. So the panel has its own internal power system. It uses transformers to take that really high factory voltage, like 480 volts AC, and step it down to something more manageable. Then, a power supply takes that and converts it into the low voltage DC power, usually 24 volts, that the sensitive electronics, like the PLC, need to operate. All right, so that's the factory brain. Now, let's switch gears completely. We're going to leave the factory floor behind and head into the kinds of buildings we all live and work in. Because in here, the electrical panel plays a totally different role. And if the industrial panel is the brain, then the building panel is absolutely the heart. Its main job isn't about complex control or making decisions. Nope, its purpose is much simpler: to safely and reliably pump electricity throughout the entire building, just like a heart pumps blood through your body. Its entire reason for being is distribution and, most importantly, protection. So what's inside this heart? Well, it's packed with protective devices. In older systems, you'll find fuses. These are basically a one-time use safety net. If there's a dangerous surge, the fuse blows and has to be replaced. But modern panels use what are called miniature circuit breakers, or MCBs. Instead of blowing, they trip, cutting the power. And the best part? You can just flip a switch to reset them. But there's one device in modern panels that is so important. It's called the residual current circuit breaker, or RCCB for short. And it has one job that is more important than anything else. What do you think it is? It's to prevent you from getting an electric shock. Seriously, its entire purpose is human safety. The RCCB is designed to detect incredibly tiny leaks in the electrical current, the kind of leak that happens if that electricity finds a path through a person. And when it detects that, it shuts off the power in a fraction of a second. That right there, that is the core philosophy of a building panel. Okay, so we've seen the factory's brain and we've seen the building's heart. Now it's time to put them side by side. Let's really hammer home the fundamental difference between what they are and what they're designed to do. And really, it all boils down to this one simple idea. The factory's brain, the industrial panel, its primary goal is control. It's a highly complex system designed for automation and running machinery. But the building's heart, its primary goal is safety. It's a much simpler system designed for distributing power and, above all, protecting people. It's control versus safety. If you remember one thing, remember that. So now that we get the what and the why, we gotta talk about the how. Because choosing and installing the correct panel is obviously super important, and there are some really clear practical rules you have to follow. It really comes down to 4 simple but absolutely non-negotiable rules. First, match the capacity. You have to make sure the panel can handle the building's total electrical load. Second, verify the equipment. All the components you use have to comply with the proper safety standards. Third, and this is a big one, this is not a weekend DIY project. Installation has to be done by specialized, qualified individuals. And finally, number 4, schedule routine maintenance. A regular checkup ensures it keeps operating properly and safely for the long haul. So let's leave you with this thought. The next time you see an electrical panel, maybe on a factory wall or in a basement, you won't just see a box of wires anymore, will you? You'll be able to see beyond the metal door and ask yourself, am I looking at the complex brain of a factory or the vital heart of a home?